those days already. Okay. Both the audio and the automation had a fail there. Anyway, hopefully it's fixed. Alright, I don't know if we have anybody watching yet, but anyway, if not, or if you are, welcome. Another Shiny Developer Series live stream. It's a hot Wednesday over here in the Midwest, but we're gonna have a little Shiny workshop development and experiment with Quartal once again, making the website for the workshop. So, okay, let's get going here. Okay. Let's see where I left things off. Get this Visual Studio Code up here. My project up. Not doing Copilot tonight. Alright. This is the Quartal Quartal Markdown document to start exploring the museum art data that Daniel Chen has kindly found for us. I think my goal tonight is, even if I don't necessarily know exactly how much I want to use of it, I want to filter it down to be kind of the cleanest subset so that I can throw this onto a database and start using that as the source of the Shiny apps I'm going to build for you, or building for the workshop itself. So let's get everything going here. Run cell. Let's just get our going, shall we? There we go. We don't need this bash shell here. Get fish. We're going to get the R terminal here. Screen a little better here. Change the layout a little bit. I think that was too extreme with it. That's more like it. Okay, let's get everything processed here. Hopefully everything is gonna run like planned. Okay, that should have. Yep, we've got the. Yeah, I know there's parsing problems. I know that. Hello, Unicorn Coder. Thanks for coming along. You didn't miss much other than my audio fail, so I had to literally stop the initial stream, reboot the whole darn system, and even then I had another fail of automation stuff. So it's not exactly getting off to the smoothest of technical starts. I literally just booted up the. Quartal document that I think you've been looking at alongside myself. Yeah, so that first notification was my epic fail with audio, and I caught it just before it would have been really embarrassing. So who knows if I'll be any better than the other stream you were watching. We're just going to do some R hacking like always. And what's Pasita Buddha? How are you doing? Welcome. We're doing a little more data exploration of this art data set that I plan to use for my Shiny workshop. I kind of want to get a clean subset of it that will be as easy to use for my Shiny apps for the workshop. So that's kind of what I'm going for today. And as Unicorn Coder is correctly pointing out, this MET, this museum art data is huge. Yes, it is. We're gonna kind of do some explorations on that. I was doing some great tips from all of you last week about the janitor package and some of these frequencies. So this is very rough code right now, not meant to be production ready yet. This is literally me just trying stuff out. Run some of this and look at our frequencies here. There are two kind of binary kind of classifications of the data that I really want to hone in on. And hello, Isomar, glad you're here. I want to hone in on one of these two, or maybe both of them. One is called whether a piece of art is a highlight in the museum, and the other one is if it is public domain. I think at a minimum, I want to use the artwork that's public domain, because there shouldn't be any problem with me displaying the image in a Shiny app if it's not copyrighted for any proprietary thing. The highlight one, I'm going to look that up a little bit, but oh, I see some good news from Isomar here. Isomar says, Eric, I have VS Code on my work laptop now. Oh, nicely done. Nicely done, Isomar. I definitely have it on mine as well, and hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm certainly no advertiser for Microsoft here, but certainly VS Code has been, as many of you regulars know, it's been a big part of my daily workflow now. Trying to use it more and more for some of these more complicated container setups and everything. So congrats on that. Hope it's working well for you. I do have, so I have a couple things actually about write-ups. Let's get going here. What I really want to do is, what some of you are familiar with this, but this is my GitHub repository that I use as a template to start all of my open source data science development projects, where it's very much tailored to the container setup in VS Code. So that's my repo for it. But there is a long-standing issue that I hope to address maybe sometime this summer, is creating tutorial videos on setting this up with R. It's been long overdue. I'll be realistic. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to all these before the workshop stuff. Maybe that will come later this summer. But we got some good feedback from a Unicorn Coder and others about areas to highlight. So that will be coming. But this repo is the closest I have to a write-up. It's not very formal. It's literally what I base everything off of there. So in case those are lurking that don't have the link, there it is in the chat there if you want to take that. I did a major update, I want to say a couple weeks ago. I'm using Docker Compose a lot more. Zoom in here a little bit. Where I have both the VS Code container and the RStudio container spun up at the exact same time when I boot up VS Code. So it's still VS Code launches everything, but now when I launch the thing, I don't have to run it separately in another command to get the RStudio instance up. They're all automatic at this point. So even tonight, if I have to hop back to RStudio, I could quickly boot up my local web browser and get to the RStudio server lickety-split. So, okay, so that's that. So that, I was going to show the closest I can get to a data dictionary about this data set. That's not it. Yeah, let me get dark mode. I apologize. I thought I had that on. There we go. Let's look for highlight. Okay. So basically the API documentation is the closest I get to a data dictionary of all these variables. But Unicorn Coder, you're already well ahead of me. You've been hard at work at looking at this data as well, and you have an R script that I just cloned down. I didn't actually look at it yet. What do we have here? Oh, no, you got a lot of stuff going on here. Yep, okay, so you got a link to it here. Okay, yep. I think we're looking at we're looking at the same thing here. Yep. So is highlight when true indicates a popular and important artwork in the collection. Now let's look at our frequencies here. There are only 2,400 that are important, so I don't think I'm going to filter down just for the trues on that. But I do want to filter down on is public domain. That'll leave us with roughly a little more than half of the 470-ish thousand records, which I'm fine with. I don't need the full data here. I want something that's kind of clean for this. So, by the way, Tan, hello, how are you doing? Actually, yeah, if you've answered all these already, Unicorn Coder, let's check that out, shall we? Okay, let me throw on Tidyverse on here. I usually don't install that directly, but you know, this repo is very much a development repo. I'm sorry, Tan, I haven't caught your Shiny app streams lately. I know you've been working on the better availability of your app and looking at things like the DigitalOcean service that I put in the chat. So hopefully you're. Oh, so that's what your tweets were about. I did see some tweets about something getting like paved the way. So that's awesome. So you actually did get on the DigitalOcean app platform. That's good news. I'm curious to see how your experience is with all that. By the way, what you just saw there, in fact, I wouldn't hold it against you if that went by the wayside when you were watching. That's the fastest I have ever, and I mean ever, installed Tidyverse packages. That was about second. Now, of course, everything was cached, but that is literally the complete opposite of what happens at work when they have to compile all the packages from. So I know it's not installing. I'm cheating. But boy, do I wish it could be that fast at work. That's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, let's load all this up. Let's look what Unicorn Coder has done here. All right. Other packages here. Yep. Oh, so you're reading directly. Oh, I should have done that. See? You all are so much smarter than me. You're reading it directly from GitHub itself. Let's do that. Yeah, RSPM does help with that. My team, or the Linux admins I work with, don't enable that by default. The only way I can use that is for RM and manually changing the repo in the RM block file. I've only done it a couple times, but they were warning me that it's hard for them to debug issues with our Linux installs if a package goes haywire there. So, okay, yep. So we got our glimpse of our data. Yep, I've been looking at that. We've got a lot of variables here. So, all right. Okay, so you're doing the same tabulations. We're gonna make sure we're consistent here. You have to highlight tabulation. So again, I'm probably not going to filter on that one right now, but let's see what this timeline work is about. We've got only about 8,000 or approximately 8,000 art for this timeline work. So let's review what that means here. Whether the object is on the timeline of art history website. Yeah, I'm probably not going to filter on that either, but it's so good to see those frequencies here. Oh, I was wondering about this. You teased this in the Discord, I think, earlier, Tan. The R hub, R minimal, that's an image, right? It's neat, but it has to build everything from source. So yeah, that's literally not what I want to do in my container setup. I don't have time to wait for all that, so that's good to know. Yep, public domain is what we care about, exactly. Unicorn Coder, so let's look at frequencies there. Wait for my fancy-ish. Yep, okay. So we're getting the same numbers there. We didn't change really anything there. And then you're just filtering for that. Yeah, I was gonna look at departments too. I think I have put that a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Yep, so we got about, how is that, about 19 departments. This is something that I definitely want to leverage in the apps to kind of maybe do different facets or hey, modules that maybe take a department as an input and do things with it. So, so that's something we want to look at. I don't know if you're catching this, but my linter that VS Code uses is not thrilled about your assignment of the variables. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so you're making factors out of these. That's good. Select medium, but these are just one-time operations. Oh wait, no, you're right. No, these are not one-time. Run these. Okay, we got them as factors now. Let's see how many mediums we have. I think we have a lot from the last time I checked. Because I remember I made the mistake of like doing the uniques of medium, and then it flooded my R console, and I had to restart the whole thing. So actually, yeah, this is a great use of factors to kind of make this easier to. But Unicorn Coder, you are not alone in this. There is a member of the RStudio team that also uses equal sign for all their development. We're gonna let's put that to the chat. I know who it is. Let's see if any of you can guess who on RStudio's team prefers the equal. Oh yeah, well, I mean it is kind of a gimme. If you know their team even half as much as I do, you probably know that Eway is the one that still uses equal sign in his packages that he developed. So no shame in that, and it is faster to type, I do admit. Where it gets me though is the mental issues I have with doing it in the function parameters versus doing them in the exploration code. I have been bitten by it long ago, so it's like muscle memory for me to try to prevent that. But anyway, it's fine for here, of course. So let's look at the countries. This is a good exploration here. So we're definitely going to do something with region, but here's the issue though, is that we have a lot of them that don't have a region, so that might have to be something we have to, if maybe we use it, maybe we don't, but the fact that we have so many missing is a bit of an issue here. It's probably the same for the region too, I would guess. Yeah, look at all those records with the region missing as well. So I was hoping to do something with like maybe an interactive map that people could kind of click on a region and suddenly kind of drill down to like the art from that region. Maybe we still do that. I don't know. But alright, so we got artist display name. We're going to count that. So let's do that. Oh yeah, this is also another thing where we have so many that are missing that still kind of boggles me why. But I remember this is what I saw last time, was that we have a few sports cards in this data set. Topps is a brand I'm very familiar with, so. Portfolio, sets of work created as a group. Okay, let's see what that's about. So we filtered out the missing portfolio, and now we're starting to get some, some results. But what you notice too is that a lot of these records have more than one value. It's just separated by a pipe. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with that. Probably gonna have to split that something, or with like a stringer split with per. Maybe not. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Okay, so this is artist, display name, and country. This might be a lot of rows, I would guess. Yeah, that's just looking at this thing here. Okay, artist, age, in their biography, birth and death, city when known. Okay, let's see what you got here. What are we doing here? So we're selecting the display bio, distinct, grabbing the age. Interesting. Oh, I didn't even realize that was there. Let's see what that's about. Ah, okay, yeah. That regex has always been a difficult thing for me as well. I thought there was some fields about their age. I want to double check that. Kind of remember something about that. That's the year the artwork was acquired. Yeah. So I think we can grab these fields. Let's explore that. But oh, we gotta send a special welcome to Dr. Daniel Chan, who now has his famous or his awesome graduation hat. I saw the picture. Oh, I'm very tell you what. Well, it's a milestone for sure. So if you're doing a stream either this week or next week or whenever it is, I want to see the hat. Sounds like you may be doing that, so I'll be watching if I can. But yeah, I'm still credit to you for finding this set. We're running with it. We're just doing some cleaning right now, exploration, so I can get it ready for the database and actually get the shiny aspect of all of this. But first, let's get some of these explorations here. So we're gonna back here. I'll do that down here. We'll do artist display name. Copy it in. Oh, that's probably been clean here. Begin date. Okay. Let's do distinct on that. It seems too easy, but we'll see if this works. Alright, we'll do that. Ah, now that, okay, well, boy, we got some messy data issues here, don't we? Oh. You look at this, even the artist display name can have more than one value sometimes. So we got Paul Dean Farnham and Tiffany and Company. And apparently Tiffany is going to end in the year 9,999. Mark that in your calendars. So that's that. Okay, so that's a... Yeah, well, yeah, that's gonna be odd. I'm gonna have to figure out how do I deal with the multiple value thing. That's hilarious though. But some of these companies did actually, and yeah, okay, so they're a seller of the artwork, this Tiffany versus whoever Paul Dean Barnham is, who actually created the thing. Okay. Part of me wonders how many of these records have more than one artist in the particular row. I kind of want to know what that answer to that question is, so I kind of know what I'm dealing with here. So let's do some tabulations on that. I'm gonna do that probably up here. So we're gonna detect. The pipe character. Not pipe, what is it? Yeah, I think we call it that. Alright. Then table that. Hopefully this works. Interesting. So, we've got more than half have multiple artists inside. Is it really that important though? I'm not sure. Depend if I want to do any analyses based on the artist, it is gonna muddy things up a little bit. So, see, I jumped around a bit here. Okay, so that's where we were doing the art calculations. I mean, it's my workshop. I can make the rules on how I use this data. I just want to do something that makes sense. Maybe I should do the public domain filter first, then see how many are that. Because if it's for the proprietary stuff, then but let's see if that changes things a little bit. Well, that's good news. DNA probably just means that it didn't detect the pipe thing. So that means more than half have a single entry. That's good. About 139,000 entries. That's still a really solid number. Like that I could live with that. I'm not looking to break the records of a database size here. I just want something that's easy. So might work with that. I'm gonna save that. As an object, and we'll go through that. A crude way of doing it, but that should be good enough. I think that'll do it. Let's see. Oh, I didn't want to do the select that. Silly me. So it's 139,000 rows, public domain. Let's see. I feel like that's going to be easier to work with. Let's sample a few rows here and view that. So 200 rows of that. What did I do? Oh, killing me. Didn't do the pipe work. Just gonna do a quick eye check of any other crazy entries here that I need to worry about. So, check for any pipe somewhere else. The medium is, a lot of them are going to have more than one value here because they fit in multiple categories, if you will. So that'll be something I have to think about. Anything else here? Classification is something I want to maybe look at as well. Not really going to do much with the tags, I think. Not bad, not bad. I feel like we can work with this. So Unicorn Coder, you're asking, do I need a sample seed for slicing? For reproducibility, I will. I'm just literally doing this just to have a manageable set to look at. But I feel like this subset here, public domain, not an entry of more than one artist, is probably good enough. I feel like I can do a lot with those entries here. So I think we can do stuff with this. Let me go back to my GitHub issue where I outlined my thoughts, because even I forgot all of what I was saying there. So I want to refresh my memory on that. Okay, I want to make sure I could attack most of these items that I have in the issue. So, most frequent mediums, I think I can do something with that, but I may have to split that up a little bit. But there is that other field called category that might be better. Distribution by countries or maybe region. There may be a lot of missing values there, but we could try it out. A time course and when the art was created, I feel like we could do that. And then the basic ones about the artists who have the most artwork, their country of origin if it was there, their age at the time they first released their artwork, we could do something with that. So I feel like there's enough data here we could start building the apps with. And then my first impression of things that I think we can do in the workshop are having an app that does a pattern that is very common in my larger applications. You have a higher level summary. It involves some kind of selection of an item, and then that exposes something underneath or to the side with more details on that entry, linked together via either crosstalk or just generally linking inputs to the various widgets. I think that's a very important concept to talk about. And then another thing I want to show in these apps is the idea of the user interactions that not only are something I want to keep track of, but I want the user to record their progress in some kind of analysis or workflow, and then be able to send that somewhere and possibly re-grab that later. That's something I do all the time now, especially sending stuff to a database and back. So that'll tie in nicely to the database topic. Yeah, so I feel like that's an interesting thing we can do. Whether I do any sophisticated like modeling in this, I think that's kind of maybe not as necessary with this as maybe I initially thought, so I may scrap all that. As long as I can expose an API thing of some sort, then I'm good enough. And maybe that's just grabbing the image, or we do something else with that. I think that's something I can work out later. So Tan's got a great comment here I've been thinking about as well. Do I have a general design pattern for flipping between BS4 Dash or dashboard tabs? So that's an interesting point. So I can tell you that the bigger apps I've made, there definitely is a logical pattern to how I organize it, where the first tab is always the one that introduces the app at a high level, maybe links to external sites with more documentation, guidances, tutorials, and maybe it has like quick links to different tabs that are the more common parts to start with. So I imagine you have like a initial page of like these set of tiles with a nice little image and a short description, but when you click that tile, it's actually programmatically using some like BS4 Dash's input for the tabs and sending the user to that particular tab. So that is a pattern I do use quite a bit to let them navigate through things. So that is one idea. The other idea that I want to talk about in the workshop, whether it's for BS4 Dash or other means, is you don't want to show them everything if they haven't fulfilled all the prerequisites for a certain workflow. So there's one situation in my app where I don't want to show them a results area until they've submitted their analysis to our machine learning API or our grid cluster, got the results back, and then it shows that tab. It won't even let them see it. That is something I do want to have a general topic about, is making sure you have guardrails to prevent the user from going places or clicking buttons or uploading things at the wrong time of the workflow. And certainly BS4 Dash and Shiny Dashboard Plus have made it easier for me to put guardrails around it. But I'm also curious if I can do that in just a typical Shiny app as well. So that's something I am thinking about, is the idea of laying out the workflow for your app and then making sure that you can have a way to enforce that workflow. But it's an interesting skill. So I've done a couple things with that. I recall one thing I did, in fact, that maybe just what you figured out too, Tan, is there was a situation where the user reconfigures a network graph with Viz Network. I have them do a custom input to manipulate something. But after they do that, if it breaks an assumption I have for that network scheme, I send them back to another tab and says, hey, you broke this rule, try that again. So yes, I did use things like reactive values and other mechanisms to keep track of what they did, checking that after each event with the assumptions and some business logic functionality to say, oh, this assumption was broken, send them out, make them fix it before they go back. So that is it's a very interesting pattern. It takes a lot of getting used to. Like, that's the other thing. This little nugget that it may not seem obvious at first, but it's the concept of reactive values. That is something that this workshop needs to emphasize, is that reactive values can be so powerful to having forward control over what the app is going to see or what you're going to present to the user, but also keeping track of these events in your app, these events that can say something bad's about to happen, so reset it. Oh, thank you for the follow, 3 Lone Ranger. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, this opinionated way to enforce the workflow, but reactive values are kind of that bridge between what's happening server side, and you can use that even in your UI side to manipulate what the user sees, or disable an input, or disable something, or magically make it appear. So reactive values, in fact, before I go too much further, I feel like I need to make literally a separate issue on that alone. So the importance of reactive values. This, yeah. The ability to use reactive val and reactive values is a powerful technique for enforcing rules in your app's workflow and keeping track of important events both within specific modules as well as the app overall. Yep, so that's gonna work its way into the workshop somehow, for sure. So glad we had a good chat about that, and I did see that come through. Hello, Big Pod, how are you? I know you've been probably watching a lot of the DockerCon streams, I'd imagine, with your work at Slim AI. I was able to tune in a little bit to Martin's stream with design of the Docker desktop extension for Slim AI with what was it, Jeremy? I can't remember who was on that, but that was saw the first half of that interview, so that was fun to see. I have not actually installed the Docker desktop extension on Linux yet. Maybe I'll do it next week or something, but I'm just so happy with using Docker from the command line that I haven't really felt the need for it. The Mac one is a bit painful to deal with, to be frank, but that's a story for another day. So, okay, where was I? Let's go back to VS Code here. Like I said, I feel like this data is going to be in pretty decent shape, so I'm tempted just to load this into a database, just to play with it there a little bit. Okay, so how do I want to pause this up? I want to get rid of this. That way we keep everything here. Okay, so once I have that, now I need to refresh a memory how I loaded it before. The other data sets. DB, yep. This was for the Instacart data, but we could do a similar thing for the art data here. Yeah, Daniel, that's right. You are on the East Coast, so yeah. Although that is something I was going to mention at some point is maybe in June things might change a little bit for my scheduling. There's some life stuff that's about to happen. Mostly good, but it just means that my schedule's going to have to shift a bit. The biggest thing is, of course, my kids being done with school at the end of May, so it's going to be crazy at the house for a few months for sure. So that's going to be the biggest impact. But it's funny, when I was a kid, of course, summer was my favorite time. Now as a parent, it's actually one of the more difficult times of the year. It's completely flipped around, and I never realized it was going to be that way until I'm on this side of it now. Okay, let's get a new version of this. Call it ArtDB. Art database subset for only public domain and single artist work. I'm actually going to comment this more carefully here. Establish connection to local database. Now this is actually going to still have the tables that I did with the Instacart data, but we'll find out. Yep, so you can see all these other tables that we had before. I'm pretty certain at this point I'm only going to stick with one overall data, theme, because this workshop's already going to have enough content as it is, and I don't want to get my mental energy too confused with having two completely different data sets. So I'll probably keep the Instacart data on the back burner a little bit as I start to flesh out the actual workshop stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and delete some tables for that as we clean things up. So that DBI, B is a delete, or remove. Here we go. Give me some help here. Name, okay, yep. Let's see if this works. That was super fast. Let's see if Isles shows up still. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, we're just gonna do this for each of them, and then we'll have a clean database. I think we had 6 of these, so we've got departments. Order. Fire. Orders. Products. Okay, let's just bang, 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 bang. Okay. That should leave us with an empty. Yep, empty tables, that's good. Time use, okay. Comment that out. I'm gonna mark this section as back up. Actually, no, I have a separate file for that. I can just get this out of here. Okay. Let's load our packages that we had in the other script. Let's split that view. I'm only going to load a couple of these because we're going to use these two. And yep, that should. This, we're gonna grab that from here. And then we're gonna grab this in. And then hopefully it'll be super easy to copy one of these right tables. Yep. Just gonna call the table art, and this will be art single. Okay, one thing I always do is I clean the workspace by just restarting R, just so I have a clean slate here. Don't know what that's about, but that's okay. We're gonna import it here. Okay. Let it do its thing. What is that about? I have no idea what that was about. That indexing thing, is that a read R thing? Huh. Well, anyway, it worked. That was the first time I've seen that. Alright, let's do this. Yep, that should do it. Let's glimpse that just in case. Yep, looks like everything's in order here. Got our database connection going. And now let's send it over. That was quick. Let's list it. Yep, we got art. Let's my other code here that I think I did stuff where I actually, yeah, I explored it. Okay, so let's make sure that my connections work. I don't really need this anymore. DB. Verify that the table exploration. No errors there. Let's make sure. Let's grab 50 rows from this, and then we'll collect it. And I believe we got it. Let's double check. Art Explorer. Yep, we are in a database. We are good. We are good there. I think we are in business. So at least the initial data exploration mission accomplished. We've got a much cleaner subset of it. It's my workshop, it's my virtual museum, and I get to call the shots, and I'm going to call that shot as done for the single filter of it. So let's comment that on the issue. update on data exploration. Filtered for only public domain records and those art with only a single artist, i.e. entries that do not have multiple artists split by that character. We still have almost 200k rows to play with. It's good enough for me. All right. So that's a good place to leave things at for the data side of it. Now, going back to what I kind of want to do for the app exploration. So first decision point I want to make is, do I end up going with one of the dashboard packages I've been using, or do I try to kind of do this in native Shiny UI just to rule out other things? I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence on that. You can do lots of nice things with a nav bar that is kind of like what I would do in the dashboard. But one technique that I could show in this that kind of lets you stick with the default Shiny UI, but maybe themed up with BSLib, yet you can still have some niceties that the dashboard packages give you, as I've shown way back a couple months ago or so with the Shiny Brain development, that I could have that prototype app grab one of the BS4- elements, like that box element, and use it in a native Shiny app. So like I can do that. But then again, this is production grade Shiny apps, or production quality. And at least in my experience, dashboards are the king. So maybe we do dashboards, just kind of mimic a production setting. So perhaps that is the way to go. So the one downside of going with the BS4- route is that I don't think BS... Oh, for goodness sakes, what was that about? Alright. Have to restart Firefox, I guess. BS4- is not... What the heck is this? Okay. I know it's a 100 release Firefox, but don't nag me. BS4- as I understand, is not compatible with BSLib. And there is I do want to touch on BSLib for, you know, a certain part of the workshop, because I think that is something where you can have a quick win with styling your app without being an expert in CSS. Like, you only have to change a few variables. Now, with that said, there is an alternative for BS4- that gives you the BSLib kind of stuff, albeit it's a little different. And that is the Fresh R package. This is a little different. So, sorry, dark mode again. Exactly. So this can get you that same idea, right? I mean, this, you could change various things in BS4- much like you can do with BSLib for a native Shiny app. So I can get that same thing. But Or I just like, the other thing I need to keep in mind is that this workshop doesn't need to have one single app be a part of it. Maybe it is a couple apps, but then there is one like overarching app towards the end that kind of brings all of it together. And I could still have one part of the app still do like a native Shiny UI and BS Lib tweak. So maybe I could still implement this. But I did use Fresh for the Hotshot Racing dashboard. I used Fresh with BS4 Dash to make that happen. Where I had the custom font, the custom colors like the game, and that got the theme to the way I wanted. So let me refresh my own memory on that. Let's look at that again real quick. Come on. There we go. There's our fun little video there. Me winning, because I win all the time in racing. But yeah, all of this was done with Fresh. The font, the primary colors and everything. Reactable had its own theming done to it via its custom functions. So there are paths forward. Okay, yeah, Tan's got some cool gist here for the reactive value example. Let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, you're bringing back the memories. I went through a lot of this similar thing. Yep, you're observing the event on the. Oh, refresh it. Okay, I will. Refresh again. You sound like you may have just changed something. Let me do that. You got 2 revisions. Let's see what you... 31 seconds ago. Okay, I think I got it. You go, oh, okay. Well, you know, I have typos all the time in my stuff. So, okay, so what are we doing here? So you got action buttons here. Go to first, go to second, go to third. And then you're observing the input of the buttons, yep. And then you're updating a reactive values object with which one they selected. And then on the server side, you're watching for that selected tab, update, yep, exactly. And then this is the key too. You are using it, you're using that reactive value object as kind of this basket of things that is going from one module to another. So I have done that approach for passing back and forth. In fact, that's what I advocated in my modules article. And by the way, Unicorn Coder, I will get that Dreamers Fresh repo to in the chat right now. Thanks for reminding me. There you go. But yeah, back to your gist here, Tan. What I did a little different in the last year is I use a slightly different way to pass it. I actually use the session object. There's in the session object, you have that user data slot. And in that user data slot, you can put whatever thing you want or set of things. And because each module has the session object automatically, you could grab stuff with session $ user data $ whatever. I learned about that from one of the Absalom blogs a few years ago. And I remember I was a little taken aback by it. In fact, I even had a comment on that issue, and I said how at that time I wrote it, I actually was a bigger fan of the approach you're taking here of being explicit with what you're passing through. And that was also a principle that Joe Cheng himself kind of reiterated with me as I was prepping that talk back at RStudio Conf in 2019 or whatever it was, that he liked the pattern of being explicit with it. But with that said, I think people are starting to warm up to taking advantage of the session object when you can. And I do, yeah, and this is another reason why I was commenting on their blog post, is that when somebody's learning modules that are new to it, the more specific you can get, the easier it is for them to debug, the easier it is for them to learn. So I feel like in this pattern of the workshop having at least one aspect dedicated to modules, I'm still going to kind of default to my classic behavior of it. Maybe later on in the workshop I talk about session user data as like a power, trick you can use, but you have to use it responsibly. You could definitely, bang your head against the wall multiple times debugging if you mess that up. And I say that from experience because there were times I did mess myself up pretty bad to do that. So, but I love this pattern though, to keep track of the event, and then on those observes you can update the selected tab in the server side. It is, and again, the session object is a glue here. The session object is something so magical and shiny that even I do not have a lot of mastery over, except for a couple things. And John Kuhn actually did a video recently where in one of his demos he was talking about the session object, and he called it this very mysterious thing that nobody in the shiny world completely understands. And I believe him because I'm one of them. So, and and yes, the get default reactive domain, that's like black magic almost to me. Whereas the session stuff, at least there's some hint of understanding the magic a little bit, but the other stuff is absolutely nuts. So, but yeah, I think for the module piece, going with this approach, where you're passing the reactive value slot, is a valid approach. Now, the other approach that I'm kind of on the fence about, love to get your thoughts on this in the chat here. Why is my dark mode extension not work anymore? Okay. Is the idea of using R6. So what pattern that the folks that ThinkR and Colin Fay have been playing with is using R6 to kind of share that in your various modules as an object area where you pass stuff back and forth. So it's kind of serving a similar purpose as the reactive value parameter, but you get some of the R6 niceties with it. So in this example here, you initiate at the top level of your app, which would be right over here. They have a whole R6 class called this like My Data Processing. Where is that? Where did they put that? Yeah, right here. R6 class, you can initiate methods for it. That probably is overkill for this workshop. And I think it might be muddying up the waters too much. I have personally never done this yet. Like, I've seen it mentioned. I know the ThinkR folks are big fans of R6, but it may be just a bit over the complexity edge for the attendees. So I think the reactive value paradigm is probably that middle ground between something so mysterious as the session user data, something as complex as R6, but then the reactive value thing is basically a glorified list that's shiny aware almost. And you can reason things out pretty well with it. And that's what I had done. Going back in the Wayback Machine to my modules article. The idea here was I had these two plot widgets for the Ames housing Explorer, where it would pass things back and forth between the modules of what you did in one plot could affect what you did in the other. And that's where I was returning reactives and then passing those into, you know, the other modules. So yeah, I'll have to it's been many years since I wrote this app, but the idea was very similar, as I was being explicit about the reactive of the plot variables that was being passed back and forth. And there was another data table module below that. But there are pros and cons of this approach. So it's ironic, Tan. Yeah, I started this route very diligently for many of my apps in the earlier days. But now I kind of take a balanced approach. There are still some modules that will return a specific reactive when it needs to, but then there are others that just kind of take the, well, Joe Cheng, I joke with Joe Cheng that it was a kitchen sink approach of the reactive value list going back and forth. There are pros and cons to it. I think in the workshop I'll be able to demonstrate both of them in different degrees. But in the end, you're still passing something reactive to different modules as part of the state of the app itself. So I won't be as explicit all the time as I was in this Housing Explorer, but there will be certain cases where I think that is necessary. It's just finding the balance of being too specific or too general. There is that middle ground somewhere, and some people have different opinions on where that is. So this will be a good chance to start putting some thought into it. So I feel like I've talked some interesting thoughts there, so I want to make sure I don't lose sight of that. Where's my issues? Oh my gosh, I don't have an issue on modules? Well, that's got to change. Okay. Modules are such a fundamental paradigm for robust shopping apps. It's a given.
Who's ready for story time with
our podcast,
baby?
All right, you will have your story time in a little bit. Let me finish the thought here. Passing the values back and forth. The powerful design pattern. Let's see. I thought your what's your GitHub ID, Tan? I thought it was at Tan. Maybe I was gonna give you credit for that. Not showing up in my autocomplete here. I'll go back to your gist. Duh. Okay, yeah, I could have just gone to your gist. I was lazy. Don't know why it's not. Just grab that. Where did I put it? There it is. Great. Example. Hiding. Or I should say. Navigating. Server side. Yes. /. Balance between returning explicit reactive objects and using a reactive list passed throughout the module. Tip on using session data responsibly. Okay. Good, yeah. So there's no way I couldn't talk about modules in this workshop. Okay. So, let me get a quick swig here. So, no glass tables were broken in the last week. Unlike the last time I had story time for all of you, so that's a bit of good news. But there was a little bit of bad news at the day job. This is a volatile time for this particular industry. We're seeing quite a bit of turnover these days, and a very talented colleague that was kind of they haven't been with the company for more than a couple of years, but not to sound, selfish here, but it's rare for me to find people that are not only interested in doing their job well, but they're interested in open source, and in particular R in open source, and learning about the cutting edge stuff and advocating the use of it. This was somebody that I thought could be kind of groomed to do even bigger projects down the road, but they're going away. They're going away in a couple weeks, and they haven't told me where they're going yet, but I'll be in touch with him still through open source stuff. But it's just another data point that retention's a bit of an issue right now, and part of it's due to the very competitive nature of data science and life sciences right now, and another issue is, to be honest, some disagreements with management styles, and that's where not much I can do about that other than just kind of listen and give them positive feedback. But that rocked my world a little bit, because I had big things planned for this person if they were going to move up a little bit, and I could leverage their services a bit. But that's them's the breaks, as they say. So that's one thing that happened. I can also give an update. I don't have it hooked up here, but I am this close, and I mean this close, to getting R working on the Steam Deck. It is so stinkingly close. The one thing left is getting the darn compiler paths solved. So I've been down a rabbit hole about a couple weeks ago about how do I change paths like this called LD library path in Linux, so that it can find the right GCC compiler that I installed in some custom directory as part of this homebrew thing. If I can just get that mapping done, then the R installation on Steam Deck will be perfect. It's like ridiculously close. So at some point I'm gonna nail that, but just haven't quite figured out the path issue yet. But yeah, I can't wait to figure that out, because I want to do a video about that on this stream using VS Code on the Steam Deck to do an analysis. Like that's going to be a thing. That's definitely going to be a thing. So, well, the other bit I can tell is that this is my favorite time of the year for sports, and I got to say the hockey playoffs have been amazing so far.
Thank you for the follow.
Absolutely amazing. Oh, thank you for the follow, Lucid Links. Welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. But the hockey playoffs have been absolutely crazy, in a good way, of course. So let's see what the current scores are. What's happened? So, oh, New York Rangers got even or got a game on it, and Florida came back. Oh, this was a doozy. I left this game with Washington absolutely destroying them, but they apparently have had the blitz in the. Well, I better not get taken down for that. But anyway, I've been having fun watching that, and let's hope the Flames pull this out, because I want to see the Calgary Edmonton matchup, and on the east side I want Toronto to blitzkrieg through. So I mean, the ideal case is an all Canadian final, so that we're guaranteed that Canada gets the cup once in these last how many years it's been since Montreal did it in the early 90s. Like, it's got to be there, but it's been awesome to watch. I know my Wings have not made the playoffs in quite some time, but I am pulling for some of the Canadian friends up there to have some fun, because their fans are honestly a lot more fun to watch than some of the American fans that kind of take some of this stuff for granted. But it's a fun time to watch some of that. So. Okay, so let's look at our roadmap here of topics. Yep, I feel like everything here, we got a pretty robust set to work with. Definitely enough for 2 days, I feel, whereas even this is a little too much. I'm gonna have to prune this down a little bit, but I wanted to start with a broader list, and then we start developing materials on each of them. So the next key step would be kind of the logical order of everything, so I can get kind of an outline together that I can put in the workshop website, even if it's quite preliminary. Because I was asked by the organizers to start advertising this more and spreading a little bit more knowledge of what I exactly kind of was planning to teach about. So, speaking of online, now we sorted all this through, let's make sure my portal website is still working. Check this out. I'm going to take that part out. Project. Oh, it's still trying to do the art analysis? Oh, that's interesting. It wants... Okay, how do I... Is there a way to exclude things from Portal? That's... I need to check this out again. Where'd my Quarto stuff go? Okay, I'll have to open it up again. There is a way to exclude stuff from rendering, right? I feel like I've seen that. Yeah, let's see if this code execution stuff. Yeah, I thought there was, okay. Maybe I just have to move it out. Yeah, freeze, right? So how do I use the freeze option? But I want to tell it to only freeze one file. Like, or is there maybe what you were saying, Tan, is there an option in here to tell it not to execute? Is that a thing? Let's see. I need to go to the reference here. Rendering. I can't believe this is so hard for me to figure out. Whoops. Execution. That's just... Oh, okay, so maybe it's just eval false. Yeah, okay, let's try that. Let's try that. Yep. So that's under execute. Try this. This should do it globally, because I just don't want it to do anything right now. So let's try that again. Yes, I think it did it. Yep. Okay, perfect. Yep. So nothing much to look at here. It's just takes its site, but yeah. Okay, so that was that's that. Now this puts into context something that Allison Hill had mentioned in her blog post about talking about Quartal, which I talked about in the Art Weekly highlights. Is you can have these chunk options that you want to permeate throughout the document inside the YAML instead of doing that setup chunk at first every time that our markdown did. So this is one case where that was really handy. So as I compile the website, I don't compile this, but I can still have this as reference just in case. So that's pretty slick. I enjoy seeing that. What I want to do now, I'm probably going to close up here in about 10 minutes or so, is I'm going to show all of you what I've been kind of using as inspiration for the site itself. But I don't want to like copy everything from it. But the workshop I attended a couple of years ago in 2020, Gary Gade and Bowie's JavaScript for Shiny Users workshop, was one of the most well organized and well polished workshop I've been with or been a part of. So I kind of want to do somewhat similar to what he's done here, especially talking about like, is this workshop for me, which we kind of have in one part of this site, but I want to make it more, maybe a little more explicit about the learning objectives and overview. This is something that I could not believe how much in depth he went in this, but very detailed setup about each of the environments, like our studio, art itself, which web browser to use, and since it was JavaScript, he talked about Node and NPM and everything. and some optional things that he likes to talk about, like even VS Code, that was mentioned here. And then a boatload of links about web development in general. You can tell he spent a lot of time putting this together. So I'm not sure if I'll do everything like this, but I kind of like the idea of having easy way for the students to look at some additional resources, especially those that I may not necessarily cover in the workshop. So there's a lot going on here. Then of course the index of the slides itself, so you can kind of see how Garrick had set up everything. The welcome slide, which is basically just kind of getting ready, getting the Wi-Fi stuff set up and everything. So you're gonna have one of those, you know, for sure. And then you get to like the meat of the workshop. So I kind of want to start figuring out what this map is for my workshop. How do I want to introduce them to the concepts? Like what goes first? What's kind of in the middle? What will be kind of the nice to haves at the end? And tying it all together. And yes, I have I have thought about this too, Unicorn Coder, ever since I saw that feature mentioned. We're gonna have a chalkboard. You better believe it. We will have chalkboard. You know, this is a total aside, but what I've always wanted to do in Linux was, let's say I not only have a mouse hooked up to the laptop as I'm kind of toggling through things, but what if I also had a kind of like a stylus with like a digital pad or something where I could write on the screen right on the spot. But if I use I'll show you real quick on here. Hold on a second. If I use my Dell XPS, it actually has a touch screen in it. So in theory, if I had the chalkboard slide on here, I could just use the touch screen to do all that too. So I'll think about it. Anyway. So I think maybe that's something I'll start working on in the immediate future. Now that I have the data set, I want to start organizing the material a bit, at least the flow of it. And then that will help me kind of inform how I start building this app or set of apps with the different stages of the workshop kind of design, if you will. So yeah, so a lot of work ahead of me, but I feel like at least tonight I accomplished a pretty important task of getting the data ready for stuff, and now it's just a matter of building it. But yeah, I'm gonna be closing up here as well. Yeah, thanks all for joining, and the repo, in case anybody wants to see what the workshop repo is right now. Let me go back to that in a second. I have actually opened it up because there's no reason for me to really hide this. I mean, this will not be the final version of the repo anyway. This is literally just for development, so feel free to check it out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, Unicorn Coder, you've been kind enough to put a few things there, so much appreciated on that one. So yeah, I think we're gonna close up there. So had another fun episode of our weekly highlights that was released this morning, so thanks to any of you that have been listening to that. We'll keep going on strong with Michael on that, and I'll be back hopefully next week with more workshop dev and start doing some actual shiny stuff for the workshop. And I've also been experimenting with the Rhino package a bit more, so I have more thoughts probably to share next week as I start to actually use that on a real project at work, just to kind of get a feel for how it looks without a simple hello world example. So I'll have stuff to share about that. So okay, I hope that was helpful to watch, and thanks to all of you in the chat for helping me through talking through those key concepts. So I'll hopefully be back next week, and I'll see you all on Discord or Twitter or whatnot. So, y'all have an awesome night, and I will catch you next time. Bye, everybody.